Good evening, everyone. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Zhang. Here is a look at some of today's top stories. The weather is warming up in our Golden State. Another heat wave could bring temperatures into the triple digits in some areas. The Orange County Board of Education is speaking out against a bill that allows children to consent to mental health counseling. They argue the move harms parental rights. First up, California is bracing itself for a surge of summer weather this week, as temperatures could rapidly increase in the coming days. This will result in hazardous heat conditions across numerous regions that will persist throughout the weekend. Christina Corona tells us more.
As the sun turns up its thermostat in Southern California, the heat wave dials the temperature up to triple digits, leaving locals feeling like they're melting faster than ice cream on a sizzling sidewalk.
The National Weather Service has issued excessive heat warnings for Southern and Central California. Anticipated temperatures in certain areas of Los Angeles County could climb as high as 113 degrees this week. They went on to say, starting Thursday, a long-duration heat wave will affect interior areas through Monday, spreading into the valleys closer to the coast by Friday. Highs will peak between 100 to 110 degrees and possibly up to 115 degrees, hottest over the LA County interior. Last week, average global temperatures broke records on 3 occasions and leading to what many have dubbed as the hottest day ever documented on Earth. As for scorching temperatures throughout the region, Death Valley will reach up to 126 degrees this weekend. Riverside County will reach up to 104 degrees, and in northern Sacramento County, temperatures will rise to approximately 112 degrees. The warm-up comes to the Golden State, especially its southern half, as a heat dome builds over the U.S. Southwest. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, a heat dome is an area of high pressure in the atmosphere associated with warming. By contrast, low pressure brings cooling. The high pressure acts as a lid, trapping the heat near the Earth's surface.
Remember to drink lots of fluids, try to find a cool room with air conditioning, avoid the sun, and check on your relatives and neighbors. And please, never leave your children or pets alone in the vehicle. Christina Corona, NTD News, Los Angeles.
Earlier this week, we reported on the revival of a human rights lawsuit from 12 years ago that allegedly connects Cisco to the Chinese Communist Party. But there seems to be a pioneer who was looking into this as early as 2002. NTD heard from Ann Lau, who became a shareholder of Cisco and fought for human rights 21 years ago.
I'm so glad that this Ninth Circuit Court appeal has allowed this suit to go forward.
That was longtime human rights activist Ann Lau's response to the Ninth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals' recent decision to revive a nearly decade-old case. The case she's referring to is the 2011 lawsuit against Cisco, alleging the company of helping the Chinese Communist Party's, or CCP's, violent persecution of Falun Gong. Lau says she's been calling attention to Western corporations assisting CCP's human rights violations since 2002, when she submitted a resolution.
Back in year 2000, China started to pick people up when they went on the internet to talk. And it seems that it was really quickly that when they get into the internet cafe, they type up something, and when they get out, it's picked up by the government almost immediately.
Through her internet business, Lau learned about Cisco's alleged involvement in supplying the CCP internet equipment used to monitor its hundreds of millions of netizens. To bring this to the company and public's attention, she bought shares of Cisco and waited a year before she could qualify to submit resolutions to the SEC as a shareholder. Her resolution requests Cisco to prepare an annual stockholder report describing its products provided to any government entity that could allow online monitoring or recording. Fast forward 21 years, Lau is now very pleased to know there is more public awareness.
I'm hoping that this will establish a precedent that corporations is responsible if they are in any way proven to have, in some small way, in persecuting people around the world.
Falun Gong is a faith group that's been heavily persecuted in China since 1999. Now, in the 2011 lawsuit against Cisco, the plaintiffs claimed the CCP used a surveillance platform known as Golden Shield to monitor and detain Falun Gong adherents. Cisco, they said, had designed, crafted, and given critical assistance to implement and fine-tune the Golden Shield project at a time when the regime was incapable of developing one on its own. Cisco's then vice president acknowledged that, quote, the Cisco internal presentation included a Chinese government official statement regarding the combat of hostile elements, including religious organizations.
For one corporation, Western corporation, to justify their action generally, but say, well, I'm just, following the laws of the land that I'm doing business in, this argument is no longer valid.
NTD reached out to Cisco for comment but didn't hear back by press deadline.
Earlier this year, a San Francisco gallery owner was charged with a misdemeanor after a video of him spraying down a homeless woman on the streets circulated online. He now has to do community service as a result. Kalia Gren owns and operates an art gallery in San Francisco's North Beach neighborhood. In January, a video of Gren attempting to move a homeless woman from his street using a hose went viral on social media. Gren faced backlash and was later arrested after SF District Attorney Brooke Jenkins charged him with misdemeanor battery. At the time of arrest, Jenkins said the alleged battery of an unhoused member of our community is completely unacceptable. Mr. Gren will face appropriate consequences for his actions. The charges brought against Gren did not stick, but was then offered a pretrial diversion to have his case dismissed. According to Gren's attorney, he will now volunteer for 35 hours at the Third Baptist Church. His attorney added once he completes his volunteer hours, the charges will be dismissed and he will have no criminal record. In a statement, DA Jenkins called the pretrial diversion a, quote, sensible resolution to this case. Children may have more authority, such as being allowed to consent to mental health counseling. That's if one California bill gets approved. But the Orange County Board of Education has taken a stance against this bill. Critics say the bill would undermine parental rights. On July 5th, the Orange County Board of Education took a stance against the proposed bill that would allow children as young as 12 to get mental health counseling and place themselves in a group home without parental consent. During the board meeting, trustee Ken Williams argues that the bill is broad and unclear.
AB 665 is not about obtaining medical coverage or aligning healthcare codes. It's really about children that be taken from their parents. If it was simply about providing mental health care, which our youth do have, and they are receiving it, it could have simply removed one word from the Health and Safety Code 12460, but they didn't.
Board members also say they are working with the state lobbyists to advocate against the bill, which they say strips parents of their rights.
It could have happened in a different way. And instead, what this law does is really breaks down the relationship between parents and their children.
Additionally, several parents and community members spoke against the bill during the meeting. State Assembly Bill 665 was introduced by Democratic State Senator Scott Wiener and Democratic Assemblywoman Wendy Carrillo. The bill has already passed in the State Assembly and is currently being heard in the State Senate. We'll now take a short break, everyone, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. A number of Bay Area cities are raising their minimum wages. We'll take a look at how much and what people are saying. And LA has a digital bakery that creates sweet treats using a 3D food printer. Take a look at that. These machines use fine-grained sugar instead of paste to create intricate designs. These stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today, everybody. I'm your host, David Zhang. Around the San Francisco Bay Area, some cities are getting a minimum wage increase. Officials say the wage boost is to help counter inflation. NTD's Sean Morgan has more.
A few cities around the Bay Area are increasing their minimum wages. The city of Berkeley just had a minimum wage increase to $18.07 from the previous $16.99, an increase of 6%. This increase is in fact part of a larger attempt to counter inflation. Beginning in 2019, the city of Berkeley started to increase their minimum wage every July 1st, proportional to the amount of inflation that incurred the prior calendar year.
We're in the Bay Area asking local residents their thoughts on the minimum wage increases that have been taking place across the Bay Area.
That's great news, actually. I like that approach, to be honest. I wish all the cities, other cities, follow the same, protocol.
I mean, the minimum wage in California is not enough, man. I grew up here my whole life, and it's not enough. You can't get your own place. You're going to be struggling even with roommates. And it's just, the cost of everything here is way too much for that minimum wage to be where it's at. It's definitely has to go up, man. Berkeley they got the right idea. Yeah, I agree with Berkeley.
They're probably not enough to survive on necessarily, but when you define what survival is, also, but whole thing is with me is, if these are base no-skill jobs versus with someone who's got some training, either education or skills learned with the union or skills learned over time, why should they make as much as someone who's barely starting in the job market? And that's the questions I have, which we've got to find a solution for.
Other Bay Area cities are following with their own increases. The city of San Francisco matched Berkeley's minimum wage of $18.07, making this the biggest increase San Francisco has seen in the last 8 years. In Emeryville, the minimum wage has increased to $18.77, surpassing that of both Berkeley and San Francisco. Other Bay Area cities that increased their minimum wages this July 1st include Fremont, Milpitas, and Alameda. Sean Morgan, NTD News.
Border officials seized nearly 900,000 fentanyl pills at a port of entry in San Diego. The pills were smuggled in sinks and have an estimated value of $2.6 million.
The U.S. Customs and Border Protection seized about 860,000 fentanyl pills at the Otay Mesa Port of Entry's cargo facility in San Diego. They were concealed inside of porcelain sinks. A 45-year-old male Mexican national was applying to enter the U.S. on June 26 through the port in a cargo van. He presented a valid border crossing card and the shipment of 2 porcelain sinks. While they were taken in for inspection, officers noticed anomalies in the port imaging system. A canine team also inspected the shipment. The pills consisted of 12 packages. In total, they weighed about 190 pounds with an estimated street value of about $2.6 million. After the officers seized the shipment, van, and fentanyl pills, they turned the driver over to Homeland Security investigations.
Frustrated by what they call a lack of representation, some residents of El Dorado County plan to split from the Golden State and form their own state.
According to the group Republic for El Dorado State, some residents of El Dorado County want to split from California to create their own state. Organizers of the group said that the residents of El Dorado County have no local, state, or congressional representation. They say the state's border policies, sanctuary policies, and rampant crime violate the county's rights. They plan to take the matter directly to Congress, bypassing the state legislature. However, Margaret Russell, a law professor at Santa Clara University and constitutional law expert, disagreed with the group. She told the Epoch Times that the U.S. Constitution doesn't say anything about the role of counties and makes it clear the state is a relevant stakeholder. But the group points to the fact that 46% of the land in El Dorado County is federal forest land, and the county was created in February of 1850, which was before the state became incorporated into the Union in September of that year. Now, the group is planning to hold another town hall on July 10th.
There is a new surfer in town. It's not a Navy SEAL, but a baby seal. The young pup has been caught jumping on people's surfboards and riding the waves at the San Diego Surf Park. Let's meet the new and playful surfer.
Surfers at San Diego's Tourmaline Surf Park have been surprised by one of their newest visitors, a baby seal. The young pup has taken up surfing, jumping on people's surfboards and riding the waves.
To have one in the wild just randomly start swimming up and getting on surfboards, I'd say that's pretty unusual. But what really makes it unusual is on the second week when I observed his behavior, it felt like he was trying to catch the waves with the surfers. Like he would single out a longboard rider and he would chase the longboards down, and he would get on the nose and just rotate, right? And when the surfer started paddling, you'd see his little fins start kicking, and then
photographer and videographer Ed Hartel has been following the seal, and locals have named him Sammy.
Well, I was just doing my normal route, looking for surfers to film, and I saw him on a board and thought, oh, that's cool. A seal jumped up on a board. But what I noticed was he wasn't leaving the board. He was staying there.
Hartel says surfers are careful not to touch Sammy. People have called SeaWorld, which said, despite Sammy's unusual behavior, he appears to be a healthy and playful young seal.
A digital bakery in Los Angeles is creating intricate candy treats using a first-of-its-kind 3D food printer. It uses sugar to craft elaborate designs at scale. Let's see how the sweet creations are made.
Sugar Lab co-founder Kyle von Hasselin's journey into the world of culinary sugar creations began when he was a student at the Southern California Institute of Architecture. He bought a traditional 3D printer and began tinkering around with it and experimenting with ingredients.
So every project here at Sugar Lab begins with an idea. So the client has this concept that they want to make into a reality. So we take that concept and send it to our 3D designer. They'll take that concept and make an incredible full color shape, and then actually email it to our chefs here at the lab, and we'll publish it directly to this 3D printer. And any 3D file that you can imagine can be 3D printed just like we're seeing here.
The result, he said, is the only 3D food printer in the world certified by the food safety body, NSF. Von Hasselin says, unlike other 3D candy printers, his machine is able to use fine-grained sugar instead of paste, which allows greater detail on the candies and greater control over the end product.
We're unlike a regular bakery in many ways, and we're like a bakery in plenty of ways. I think the way to explain it is that the 3D printer and 3D design are really important moments in crafting 3D printed food, but they're not the only stage. They're not the only thing that you do. It really takes working with a chef and having a goal, researching what ingredients you want, sourcing them, bringing them in-house, mixing them up, tasting them, before they even go into the 3D printer, and understanding what you're working with. And then after the object is 3D printed, there are a million things that a chef can do with that object.
Working with sugar as my medium, it really comes down to the grain of the sugar. That becomes the pixel, that becomes the medium, that becomes the resolution. So what we design in 3D, it translates into a textured, grainy piece that is sculptural, but at the same time, it has a very haptic texture to it.
Hasselin and his crew can shape the candies from cartoon characters to superheroes to wizards. In addition, they also print edible cake toppers, drink additives, and sugar bites, often using dehydrated fruits for flavor. Some of the shapes are designed to be filled with chocolate or ganache. On the savory side, the team also produces kimchi bouillon soup drops.
I really feel like I'm getting to work on the future of food, future of desserts, just future tech that's going to be able to, one day these things are going to be in like everyone's kitchen. Not tomorrow, but sooner than we think.
The reaction to the work that we've done at Sugar Lab has been incredibly positive, and we're so grateful about that.
Until then, the sweet treats can be specially ordered or purchased on Sugar Lab's website, starting at around $25 for 6 1-inch printed strawberries filled with chocolate and ginger ganache.
Now let's check in with NTD's Tyler Castillo for your sports roundup.
Thanks, David. I'm Tyler Castillo. This is the sports roundup for today. Let's dive in.
The ECHO approved a new expansion team which will be located in Lake Tahoe for the beginning of the 2024-2025 season. Lake Tahoe was already host to the NHL Stadium Series back in the 2021 season. This new expansion team will be co-owned by Tim Tebow in his first attempt of owning a professional hockey team. The San Jose Sharks have signed Filip Zadina to a one-year, $1.1 million contract. Zadina was drafted 6th overall in the first round in the 2018 draft. He put up 68 points in 190 games with his tenure in Detroit.
I choose Sharks because after I spoke with Coach Quinn, we had a good conversation, and we were on the same line. Talking about how I can help the team and how the team can help me to improve my game and become a better player. So, and it was after that call, I was pretty much easy to decide where I wanna go. So I just felt that going to San Jose is the right decision for me.
Zadina is only 23 years old and is looking to be playing top-line minutes with Tomas Hertl, another part of the reason why he came to San Jose.
For sure, that's obviously one of the reasons why I wanted to go to San Jose to see Tomas. He's one of the best centers in the league, and would be the chance for me to play with him, and I would absolutely love that.
The Sharks are still trying to trade Erik Karlsson, but according to Elliot Freeman, it appears that the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Carolina Hurricanes are the top runners to land Karlsson.
And that was the sports roundup for today. I'm Tyler Castillo. Back to you, David.
Thanks, Tyler. All right, everyone, that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts at ntd.com/California-today. You'll find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Gunjin World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. If you'd like to share news tips or let us know how we're doing, we'd love to hear from you. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.